Lewis Hamilton produced a masterclass to win the Singapore Grand Prix, and in doing so, the Mercedes star has unsurprisingly held on to top spot in our power rankings. But how did his rivals get on? Some will be chuffed with their recent exploits, others not so much. How it's done. Formula One team of experts assess each driver after every Grand Prix and score them according to their performance across the weekend, taking machinery out of the equation. Formula One experts' scores are then combined to produce an ongoing overall ranking which reflects driver form, taking only the 3 most recent races into account. This week's Top 10. Number 1, Lewis Hamilton. A magnificent second win in a row for Lewis Hamilton has allowed him to keep hold of the No. 1 spot, and deservedly so. But it isn't just the fact he won in Singapore that has helped his cause, it's the way in which he claimed a 7th victory of the season. Coming into this race, the Marina Bay Street Circuit was supposed to be Mercedes' bogey track, but Hamilton put any doubts to bed with a quite superb qualifying performance. A lap his boss Toto Wolff labeled as the best lap I have ever seen in an F1 car. He then turned pole into victory, once again demonstrating his sheer class with clever tire management, and when he was put under pressure, he kept his cool. In form like this, it's hard to see him slipping from the top spot. Number 2, Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen showed his flaws in Italy, when he was handed a 5-second penalty to miss out on a podium, but he bounced back in superb fashion in Singapore, producing a mature performance to finish second for Red Bull. Like Hamilton, the Dutchman pushed his car to the limits to qualify on the front row, an impressive feat given the engine problems he had endured all weekend. Then, despite losing out to Sebastian Vettel in the early stages, he took advantage of a fine team strategy to reclaim second. This was a race in which Verstappen showed just why he is so highly rated by Red Bull, having landed his second podium in 3 races and, as a result, bagged a brilliant 3-race score from our panel. Number 3, Pierre Gasly. With his soon-to-be teammate Verstappen stealing second spot, Pierre Gasly has to settle for 3rd place in our latest rankings. His last 2 results might suggest on face value he's gone off the boil slightly, failing to land in the points, and the Frenchman had revealed his frustrations at a lack of pace in Singapore. But he still outqualified and outperformed teammate Brendan Hartley, as has been the case for much of the season, and also kept us on the edge of our seats when tussling with Charles Leclerc. There's no forgetting his P9 in Belgium either, while he was also slightly unfortunate to miss out on a top 10 finish at Monza. Number 4, Esteban Ocon. Now you might be surprised to see Esteban Ocon climb up 3 places to 4th, given his Singapore Grand Prix lasted a matter of corners. But before that race, the highly rated Frenchman, who could well be without an F1 seat next year, had managed consecutive 6th places in Belgium and Italy. And his Singapore exit was hardly his fault, with the Force India driver enjoying a blistering start only to be bumped into the wall by his teammate, Sergio Perez. It was a bitter blow for Ocon, with his package looking strong all weekend, but he can take some solace with this power rankings P4. Number 5, Valtteri Bottas. Bottas returns to his 5th place, having dropped down the order to P8 in our previous tally, following a consistent showing in Singapore to add to solid outings in Belgium and Italy. The Finn perhaps knew a victory was out of his hands when he could only qualify 4th fastest, but he still needed to keep his head down in the race. That he did, enduring a quiet evening at the tight and twisty Marina Bay Street Circuit, but he picked up vital points for Mercedes, allowing them to extend their title lead over Ferrari to 37 points. He now turns his attention to Russia, a track where he secured his maiden F1 victory, so don't be surprised if he climbs the order again next time out. Number 6, Sergei Sirotkin. We have ourselves a new entry in Williams. Sergei Sirotkin, whose driving of late has clearly caught the attention of our panel. It would be an understatement to say the Russian had a lively Sunday night in Singapore. He was understandably pumped for this race, given he had secured his first points of the season last time out in Italy and been similarly impressive in Belgium. A tough qualifying session, in which he finished second from bottom, albeit ahead of teammate Lance Stroll, suggested a quiet race was ahead of him on Sunday, but the opposite happened on track. He was involved in entertaining squabbles with Sergio Perez, Romain Grosjean, and Brendan Hartley, running as high as 13th, before a 5-second penalty pushed him down the order. Despite finishing last, the Russian rookie is finally beginning to find his feet in F1, and expect more of the same at the remaining 6 races of 2018. Number 7 Kimi Räikkönen. Oh Kimi, what a time you've had recently. A difficult race, and retirement, in Belgium followed by a missed opportunity in Italy. The loss of his Ferrari drive and a fairly anonymous outing in Singapore sees him drop 3 places down the power rankings pecking order. He looked on the pace in Friday practice in the previous race, but once it became clear that he would start 5th on the grid, that was perhaps the best he was ever going to achieve at a track where overtaking is so tricky. He's not driving badly, as pole in Italy would suggest, but he's definitely not at his very best either. Number 8 Carlos Sainz. McLaren-bound Carlos Sainz is proving to be Mr. Consistent, pulling together a run of results that has boosted Renault's hopes of finishing 4th this season. After an 11th place finish in Belgium, the Spaniard has since scored successive 8th places, helping him climb 2 places in our rankings. After struggling on a Saturday in Singapore, he delivered the goods when it mattered most, getting ahead of teammate Nico Hülkenberg at the start of the race and then taking advantage with his tire strategy to rise up into the top 10. And if you're a fan of stats, you'll hopefully enjoy this one. He has completed more racing laps this season than anyone other than Hamilton and Vettel. Impressive, right? Number 9 Sebastian Vettel. Vettel seemed a man on a mission after returning from the summer break, deservedly winning at Spa. Since that win, however, an early error at Monza followed by a surprisingly low-key performance in Singapore has left his championship hopes in doubt, and he now needs to regroup heading to the final 6 races of the season. Although much has been made of his individual mistakes this term, he wasn't exactly at fault in Singapore, with his SF70H off the pace in qualifying, before a strategic call by Ferrari didn't pay off as hoped. It was a double blow to see his rival Hamilton win both those races, and he now has it all to do if he is to claim a 5th world title. Number 10 Charles Leclerc. Fresh from the news that he'll partner Vettel at Ferrari next season, replacing the experienced Räikkönen, Leclerc delivered a mature performance in Singapore to bring home the points for Sauber. Prior to that, the youngster had endured quite a tough period, going 5 races without a point, 3 of which ended in retirement. It looked like it would be another tricky weekend, after he crashed in FP1, but he bounced back in impressive fashion to deliver a deserved P9, and now returns to our rankings. He even gave fans a glimpse of what they can expect next year, when he fought hard with Gasly before eventually finding a way through. A real racer. Dropping out. Sergio Perez and Romain Grosjean, who sat 3rd and 5th respectively, drop out this week, having both endured races to forget. Perez was involved in high-profile incidents with Ocon and Sirotkin, both of which appeared to be his fault, and he now suffers the consequences by losing his power rankings spot. Grosjean, meanwhile, was handed a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags in Singapore, and that performance has ultimately led to a low score from our panel, resulting in a demotion. On the bubble. Despite their woes, Perez and Grosjean could well return to the top 10 should they deliver a good performance in Russia. They are joined by Fernando Alonso, who will want to end his final season in Formula One with a bang.